Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? Alrighty, it is time for my newest segment, which is Habits in the Hot Seat, a lifestyle tidy up with me, Snez. Now, this is where I've decided to take a real listener's daily routine. I've put out a form. You can jump onto the Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group, and you can grab it. It's a basic Google form. It will not take you too long to fill in, maybe 5 minutes, but there are some questions on that, anything from your meals to movement to sleep, hydration. And I'm going to take those daily routines and give them a little bit of a tune-up. Think of it like a wellness audit, but without the judgment, just practical ideas to help you feeling better, to move more easily, and to eat in a way that actually supports your energy and your goals. And the reason for this idea is I do this a lot in my work. This is pretty much what I do with every new member that comes into my studio, is that I unpack the daily routine. And what I love about doing this is we can make minor tweaks that then people implement, and they're just amazed at how quickly the changes occur. So I avoid giving people a very strict regime of meals, or, trying to eliminate certain foods groups or whatever it is. I like to look at what people are currently doing, because one thing I do know is that change takes a lot of time. And even after years and years of working with people, they have very similar routines, and we tend to stick to our routines, but we can improve these routines and make them better by some small tweaks. And so I thought, you know what, this would be great. What if I could get some listeners to fill in the form and I can just unpack it online? So I hope you enjoy this, because there is an opportunity for you to submit a form and get some free advice. But also, while you're listening in, I think some of the daily routines of some of the people that you're going to hear over the coming weeks may be very similar to yours. And as I'm unpacking somebody else's routine, you may be also picking up some ideas of things that you can do to improve your own routine. So, and today's entry, I'm just going to bring this up. So, Helen, thank you so much for filling in the form today for me, Helen. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Helen. She is a 47-year-old female who is dealing with menopause right now, the perimenopause symptoms, and trying to lose some weight. So I asked her to describe a typical day of food for me. She's doing intermittent fasting around 16 to 18 hours a day, with a breakfast of fermented foods like sauerkraut, maybe some scrambled eggs, and maybe avocado if she's hungry or if she's done a workout. Normally, lunch will be salad and some chicken or leftover from the night before, and her evening meal is predominantly a curry with some vegetables. She tries to avoid rice and pasta, but fills up with carbs from veggies. She does drink black coffee in the morning and maybe has a protein shake as a snack, or a handful of nuts, also snacking on fruit and natural yogurt with some bits of chia seeds, and usually have a glass of red wine most nights. Okay, that sounds pretty normal, sounds pretty good, some good healthy options in there. How do you feel after each meal? She feels good after breakfast and hungry during the mid-afternoon, where she struggles with her hunger and sugar cravings in the afternoon and evenings. And there could be a correlation, she says, between wine and sugar cravings. The more I drink, the hungrier I am. Absolutely. Yes, Helen, you are spot on there. There are definitely some correlations there. How does she feel after each meal? She feels full after breakfast, around about 70%, after lunch, 50-60% after dinner. She doesn't want more food, but the sugar cravings are there and she'll snack. Is she getting enough water was a question I asked. Not enough, probably around about a litre. She has 1 to 2 black coffees a day. She has 7 to 10 glasses of wine during the week. and her sleep time, she gets her 8 hours in. Her training, she does 2 to 3 reformer Pilates sessions a week and lifts weights 2 to 3 times a week. So she likes to do the 5 sessions in total, and that's all the information that she's given me. So she's getting good sleep, which is amazing. She's getting some good exercise in, and the options aren't terribly bad. I'm not having to unpack a diet that's full of takeaway and highly processed foods. So I can understand, Helen, the frustration. Perimenopause or the menopause time is a challenging time with our bodies and our hormones changing, and it does affect how our bodies respond to food and to certain stresses in our life. So I can see why you're probably sitting back going, I'm doing everything right. What could I possibly do? So I am going to unpack this for you, and I have taken some notes as I was going. So I think the biggest thing that I am going to address is, and there's obviously, Helen, if you were on the line with me, I would be sort of unpacking and asking some further questions to clarify, because I would absolutely love to know about, are you sedentary? And that's probably something I need to put into the form. But how much are you moving throughout the day? How much weight do you feel you have to lose? Some of those questions would be hugely helpful for me to know as well. But the things that we can tick off is that you are getting enough good exercise in. So I'm going to start with the exercise just to get that out of the way. Now, with the exercise, you are doing a great quantity of exercise. I'd love to know how long you're doing all those for, but I'm going to assume 60 minutes. Now, what I would say about that is that I would like to see you're doing the 5 sessions a week. So the formula that I like to encourage members to do is to complete 3 sessions of resistance training and 2 sessions of cardio. So you're getting those 3 resistance training sessions in, and you're getting that combination of Pilates and your heavier weights resistance training. What I'd probably recommend is that you maybe reduce that to 2 strength training sessions and 2 Pilates, and that 5th session, go out and do a cardio session. So whether that be go for a walk / jog, or just a walk, or jump on to some of the cardio equipment at the gym if that's where you are, and do anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes. Or if you're going to make the time to go to the gym, then you probably would spend 40 minutes there. And I'd be doing some of that slow, steady state cardio as well as some interval training, and taking out one of those sessions and putting a cardio in. That's just just looking at general balance in terms of your training. The second thing that I'm going to ask, that I would modify if I was coaching you, would be to, in terms of your intermittent fasting. Now, I understand why you're doing it. I understand some of the literature that you've probably read that supported you to do that. But the thing is in this perimenopausal time, when our estrogen levels are dropping, it makes us more sensitive to stress and our ability to cope with stress. And so when we are going, because you mentioned that you're going for 16 to 18 hours a day without food, that I find personally is too long in this stage in life. It just adds to our stress, which can increase our cortisol levels, which can lead to those sugar cravings, as well as leading to that weight gain. So the first thing that I would actually adjust is the amount of time that you are spending in an overnight fast. And I'd bring that back to more like 12 to 14 hours. So when we're thinking about that, well, what would that look like? So that would sort of look like having dinner at, say, 6:30, and then not eating anything again until 8 a.m. the next day, or 7:30 or something like that. So the first step would be, I would be reducing the length of the fast, because I genuinely believe at this stage in life it's probably not helping you. Now, the biggest thing is with all of this advice that I'm giving you, it's general advice. And what I would recommend is that even listeners out there listening to this, just give it a go and just see what happens. So we want to implement change and just see what the results show us. Does it work for us? Great, embrace it. If not, then go back to the fasting. But that is the first thing that I would do, is reduce the amount of fasting time that you are spending. So that may mean for you adding in your breakfast that little bit earlier. Now, the other thing that I picked picked up on is that you feel that you're not drinking enough water. So you mentioned a litre, which is great. You haven't mentioned that you're drinking any teas throughout the day, and you are having those 2 coffees. So I would put a focus in. It doesn't have to be a huge amount of extra that we are adding in, but what I would do is start the day with, say, 10 or 15 minutes before your breakfast, some hot water with either lemon juice, or my preference is to have a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So you're having that hot cup of water. It's going to increase the water intake. That apple cider vinegar is also going to help to detox the liver, which is going to help with the alcohol. It helps to kickstart your metabolism, and it is really good for gut health. So, and it will complement the sauerkraut or the probiotics that you are having for breakfast. So I'd be starting the day with that, and maybe to clean the palate of that not so lovely taste of apple cider vinegar, I'd have a second glass of hot water first thing in the morning. So then all of a sudden we're adding an extra 500 mils in your day. But start your day with breakfast. And the tip that I would have there to stabilise blood sugar levels, I would recommend that with your breakfast that you would add some sort of a piece of bread or a sourdough or a whole grain toast of something with your eggs, rather than having the 3 eggs, have the 2 eggs, and definitely add the avocado in. So for breakfast, we want to do a carbohydrate plus eggs plus vegetables. So that's what I'd be starting with. 3 to 4 hours later, you should be feeling hungry again. You said that you were having the protein shake, so I'm not sure at what time of the day you are doing your workouts, but if you are using a protein shake and just mixing it with water for a snack, that's great. I would be having a piece of fruit with that, though, just to sort of bulk up that snack, or a handful of nuts I'd be having in that morning snack. If you are skipping that snack and going straight from breakfast to lunch, which is generally okay, I'd be looking at and the salad and chicken sounds great. I'd be looking at making sure we're getting some good olive oil through that, so we're getting the healthy fats in. I'd be adding some walnuts to that salad, so we want to increase the fat intake. And we also want to bulk up the sides, so it's taking away from how hungry you feel later on in the day. Also, because you are exercising a decent amount, and this may go against every grain that you've heard of in the past, I'd be recommending that you actually have a small cupped handful of carbohydrates for lunch or for dinner on training days. So I wouldn't be skipping out the carbs on those training days. I would definitely be adding it in either for lunch or for dinner, whether that is that you add some quinoa or some rice through that salad with the chicken, or whether you do add some of your rice with the curry at dinner time, up to you, or you could put some beans through that chicken salad or something like that. The PM snack, absolutely have it. We want to make sure, because now you'll be eating earlier, starting your day with food earlier, that PM snack is going to be structured. So whether you have your yogurt and your berries and your seeds, really great time to be having that. This is also a great time to be hydrating in the afternoon, because that energy slump is quite decent. We all feel it. So that could be another great time to just add a glass of water or a tea of some sort, maybe a green tea, which is great for antioxidants, would be a good little addition there. And then when we're getting to dinner, you said that you are predominantly getting your curry in. Now, if that is a vegetarian curry, I would be definitely looking at trying to get some protein into that curry. So whether that be through lentils or chickpeas or beans, mung beans, whatever it is, or tofu, I would be consciously adding some protein in to that meal, especially if you're doing your resistance training, or whether you want to put some eggs, whatever it is. But my advice for dinner is to add in that extra protein. And so then And then after that, it's just having that discipline of just cutting out any snacking after dinner. And the thing is then and I think the biggest thing that I need to address is the alcohol. 7 to 10 glasses is considered quite a high consumption of alcohol in a week. That's something that if you are wanting to address your weight and decrease your weight, that's something that you really need to take responsibility for, because it absolutely is having an impact. And I think you probably don't even realise what that impact is. So I'm going to invite you to reduce those and maybe look at reducing that to a healthy consumption, which is anywhere sort of 4 to 5 glasses. I'd be looking at doing 4. You might even give yourself some training nights where you go alcohol free and sort of just keep it to 2 nights a week or something like that. But absolutely, that is messing with your sugar levels and having a negative impact on your gut bacteria. But I think there are quite a few little things. So at first glance, yes, what you're doing is great. I can understand why you're doing it. And there is actually nothing wrong with what you're doing, other than that you've expressed to me that you're struggling with some of the symptoms of menopause and you're trying to shift some weight. And they're the tips that I would be doing, which is increasing your water intake, reducing the amount of the length of the fasting time, adding a carbohydrate in for breakfast, getting that snack of protein and maybe some fruit or nuts in the morning, making sure that you are adding some carbohydrate for lunch, or for dinner on training days, not both of those meals, but definitely getting that in, having a structured afternoon snack, and then adding protein into your dinner. And the big one is reducing the alcohol intake. And then with the cardio, the last bit of advice with your training is to swap out maybe and do 2 strength and 2 Pilates plus 1 of the cardio, or I would be doing the 2 strength, 1 Pilates and walk/jog twice a week. But Helen, I hope you are out there listening. If not, I will be sending you this recording. But this is the new Habits in the Hot Seat with Snez, and you can jump onto Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez and fill in the Google form, and I can unpack your daily routine and give you some bits of advice. Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays, as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM, or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.